Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Eardley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome. It is episode 68 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan, and I'm your host, Catherine Eardley, as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club, which is my membership for product businesses. You can find out more at resilientretailclub.com, and if you would like to become a member, then use the code 10podcast, that's 10podcast, to get £10 off your first month. So today's episode is a little bit different. I'm delighted to welcome 3 club members to the podcast, where we've got a little short interview snippet, if you like, of 3 different businesses as they get ready for Christmas. So we are going to be hearing from Rani, Annabelle and Emily to hear about how different types of businesses, from online sellers to a Christmas barn and a physical shop, are all getting ready for the busy Christmas season. Hi, Rani. How are you doing today?
Yes, all good, thanks. All good. Yeah, just getting ready for Christmas. Final last weeks now. So yeah.
Do you want to start us off by telling everyone about you and your business?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Rani. My business is called Plant a Bloomer, and we do gifts and cards to plant and craft.
Mm-hmm.
Our sort of main range is a range of seed paper products, and we make all our own seed paper with sort of recycled and sustainable materials. And we've got sort of seed paper cards to plant, seed paper Christmas decorations. And then, as well as that, in the past couple of years, also launched a range of craft cards. So they're basically cards which can be embroidered or cards which can be woven. Yeah, so that's us in a nutshell.
Fantastic. So we're going to put the link below in the show notes so everyone can go check you out. And how long have you been running Plant a Bloomer?
Plant a Bloomer was actually established in 2009. So
wow.
It's like, what is it now? 12 years since I launched the business. But during that time, I sort of launched it, and it was doing brilliantly for a while, and then it was a bit quiet. And so I have done it alongside, I was working full time at one point, studying for a diploma.
Oh, wow.
And then I had kids. So I was it was sort of like running at a very low level or a little bit on hold in periods. And then it's really sort of relaunched in the past couple of years, I guess, since both my children are now at school.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you were able to balance it against everything else going on.
Yeah. So got more time now to
And have you always had Christmas products? Have you always had those cards and the decorations and things like that? Was that something you added later on?
No, actually, when we first launched, the very first product was called Plant a Heart, and that is for Valentine's Day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's actually one of my best sellers still. Yeah, it seemed like the right kind of thing to have for Christmas. So then I launched things like Plant a Star, Plant a Christmas Tree. And so Christmas has become quite big. Yeah, probably definitely one of the main sales times for my business. We're also sort of quite busy during sort of Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, so on, but Christmas is definitely the biggest time, I guess. Yeah.
So all of the kind of big gifting occasions, so people are definitely gifting your items.
Yeah. So yes, they're all sort of big gifting occasions. So yeah, I'm pretty busy from Christmas till Easter. But then this year it did go really quiet as of after Easter. So I am planning for next year to do more stuff for weddings and sort of parties, things like that, to just keep things ticking over a bit and not have that kind of slump, at least such a slump during the summer months. Yeah.
For sure. And one of the stats that I always like to talk about is this idea that a third of all sales in the whole of the retail industry happen in the 6 weeks in the run up to Christmas. Do you think that that's possibly true for your business? Or is it even more than that? Or
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is something like that. I haven't actually analyzed it, but when I'm thinking about my bar chart now, so we do get a lot of sales. I mean, things like Valentine's Day, Easter are also popular generally because people tend to sort of buy in bulk at Christmas. So, for Valentine's Day, I get lots of orders, but they'll buy, 1 or 2 hearts, whereas Christmas,
for sure,
I get the large order quantities, plus I usually get some corporate orders. So it would probably be something like a third is probably about right, although I haven't looked at it.
Okay, sure. So tell us a little bit about what it's like during the busiest time of year. So you said it's a very seasonal business. So when it kind of gets to that real peak, when is your real peak and what does it feel like? What's happening in your business at that time?
So I guess sales, from, November onwards, it's fingers crossed, getting busy. And it's normally, I guess the peak is around the end of November.
Okay.
So it does tend to be around that Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend.
Mhm.
And I think that's mainly because my main sales channel is currently not on the high street.
Okay.
And they do sort of quite a lot of Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotion, which it's optional to take part in. I do normally put some of my products in that sale, not all, but some.
Yeah.
And so I get quite a lot of sales then, not just of the discounted ones, but sort of across my range, really. So so I'd say that peak time is for like that last end of November, early December is the peak. And then it tends, last year it was just crazily busy, really, like right up until Christmas. I don't know what it's going to be like this year. But I'd say end November to kind of early up to mid-December. My products aren't made to order, right. So I can sort of do quite last minute fulfillment.
And do you have a unit or do you fulfill, where are you fulfilling from?
So I actually got a fulfillment center.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah. So because of that, I'm quite lucky in that Christmas you won't see me packing boxes going to the post office. I did used to, but for the past couple of years, they do all of that. It's more a case of kind of like, what are they kind of keeping in touch with them, seeing what's selling fast, what stock are they, what components are running out, and either ordering those or making things up because, as I said, our paper we make in-house. So just sort of keeping tabs on what's happening with the products and then trying to replenish stock. And there's always, roughly which are your good sellers, but every year there's always something which ends up being like, the highest seller and then
a surprise.
Scramble to get more produced. So I'm not that busy in terms of physically doing order management myself. Having said that, last year, because it was all so crazy with lockdown and there were all these delivery issues, we did get loads and loads of, so we had this brilliant time and we had lots of orders coming in. It was like, yay, orders come in. And then sort of like a week later, there was like an inquiry came in, I haven't received my order yet. And then, and another one. And there were just lots and lots of inquiries. And I know I wasn't alone in that, but it just meant like it was quite hard really to keep on top of it all. So I'm hoping this year isn't going to be like that. There's always going to be some inquiries, but not a sort of avalanche. And I'm hoping that, Royal Mail and the couriers will be able to get things
my
there.
Goodness, yes. Well, last year was the largest quarter of e-commerce ever. So I think a lot of people just had that meltdown and people were getting parcels in March as a result. But
yes, lots of our things never got there, or maybe they did get there eventually. We don't really know. So actually it was quite, even though I wasn't physically doing orders, I was busy trying to get back to customers. It was also quite frustrating because, to be honest, I didn't send the orders tracked. And so in a way, couldn't really tell because my products are not that high value.
Right.
I can't really, I'd have to charge people for tracking and that's not that popular. So we had a lot of customers saying kind of, where's my order? And I was like, well, it has been sent, but then we started resending orders and, last year was crazy. So hopefully this year, everything's a little bit smoother and I'll be here just kind of monitoring and replenishing rather than, dealing with all these delivery issues.
And how long have you had your fulfillment center?
Yes, about 2.5 years, I guess.
Okay.
So we have done I've done 2 Christmases while I've been with them. And both times it's been kind of rocky. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, third year lucky. To be honest, they do a brilliant job. And most of the year I've had no issues. Like they've been like, 1 or 2 orders max the whole year, which haven't got there, and they're doing a great job. So I'm hoping it's going to, but it does seem to come that Christmas comes and things sort of, part of it was, not their fault at all, it was the delivery people. But I mean, they were also struggling to cope, obviously, as a small business. I mean, there was different lockdowns, and they only managed to keep going throughout because it was actually the manager and her son. Sort of when they weren't allowed to have staff, it was sort of like the two of them keep holding the fort, and then as restrictions changed, they had other stuff coming, and I don't know. So I mean, it was a tough job for them, of course, as well. So, and they had new staff who then weren't trained properly because it was very last minute and all.
Wow.
So all sorts of issues, but I've had a little meeting with them discussing all the issues we had, and they've kind of reassured me that, these have been, at least the ones they can address on their part have been addressed. So,
amazing.
So I'm feeling kind of cautiously optimistic it'll be better, but also, to be honest, I'm kind of prepared for anything now. After last year, I think we're sort of prepared for anything to happen. So.
And do you have any tips or any advice for anyone who's maybe new to having a product business, or anything that you've learned along the way when it comes to the Christmas season?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the days before I did have a fulfillment center, I used to have my staff. So I had an admin sort of helper, and I had a marketing person who both came in to help me when it was order dispatch time. Mm-hmm. And they did a great job, but I did realize there was a little bit of issue with not the right postage being applied, which meant people had to, anyway, there were same issues. I realized I should ideally have sort of train them fully before.
Yeah.
So one person had been doing it, but the other person hadn't really. And so I think that would give me tip. If you've got people helping you, try to get them trained, in advance, so they know exactly what they're doing. Make sure that you've got things sorted. And if you have got a fulfillment center, then I think just try to, in advance again, try to set expectations of what they're going to be doing, so that you're not surprised in different scenarios. For example, they do stock counts for me, but realistically in Christmas time, they can't do their counting every single card I've got because they're very busy. But what we have agreed is, as and when things are running low, they will alert me to those.
Right.
And they'll do a kind of weekly what's running low thing. If you've got people working for you, get them trained up in advance. And if you've got fulfillment center, try to set expectations of what will be over Christmas, because it could have been running all smoothly up till then, but they also really busy at Christmas. They might not be able to offer you exactly the same service they do before. At the moment I called the manager and she's on the phone, immediately, but obviously at very busy times, they might not be able to offer you the same service, but have a chat about, yes, they can get back to you with your email, within that day, and they can give you a stock update, so and so, at such periods, so that you so you're not kind of surprised. Hopefully you're not surprised when things aren't, quite what you expect. And also another thing which I haven't done, but which I'm going to do is, as I'm planning to have a kind of template that goes out saying that, during the busy period, well, the estimated delivery date at this busy could be a bit longer.
Yeah, for sure.
So not even, because for example, not on the high street, they have a set time and they don't tend to change that.
Right.
So even though you're kind of saying things are not getting there, but they keep it at that, I think, because they just want to attract more buyers. Right. So they don't change it. But I think what you can do is set a kind of, you can put in your own little order template confirmation, which says, this is delivery is normally 2 to 3 days, but because it's really busy, it could take anything, 7 to 10 days. So, just let people know. So I'd recommend doing that. I still have to do that myself, but yeah, I'm planning to put that in place in the next week or two.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. And that's really useful. Great to hear about your busy Christmas time, and fingers crossed for a successful year. Thanks for being on the podcast, Annabelle. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. Yes.
Wonderful. Do you want to kick us off by introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Annabelle. I own Copper and Holly, which is a autumn and Christmas pop-up shop.
Fantastic. So you're the perfect person to tell us all about Christmas in your business. So you actually have another business that you run. Well, is that more summer-based, I guess?
We actually don't. So I did own a chain of 4 cook shops, which I closed down just before COVID hit. I closed the last shop down. And we did start to look at a second business when we knew that we were closing the cook shops down, which was homemade, natural cleaning stuffs, liquid, washing up liquid, scrubs, that kind of thing. But quite early on, we realised that although the concept was really, really good, we just couldn't get the pricing right. So that had to be shelved. I decided to put all my eggs in one basket and just focus on the Christmas business and do that all year round instead.
Amazing. Well, I mean, it sounds like a journey, but it sounds like you've sort of arrived at a point where you're clear about what you're doing. It's all focusing on Copper and Holly. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how it works when it opens, how long it's open for, where you have it? It's just such a shame that we're audio only, because I can see you in the video surrounded by Christmas trees. So everyone listening is just going to have to imagine that Annabelle's currently surrounded by Christmas trees.
So Copper and Holly is a business of two halves. We have got a small holding. And so for October only, we open up the small holding so people can pick their own pumpkins.
Okay.
So alongside the pumpkin patch, we then have a little pop-up shop which focuses on autumn decorations and Halloween decorations.
Okay.
That opens the first Saturday of October and closes on Halloween.
Okay.
We then switch all of our attentions to Christmas. Our Christmas shop opens the first Saturday of November, and it will shut anytime between the 18th or the 21st of December. Again, that happens on the small holding. We've got a big agricultural shed, and we just deck it out in Christmas finery.
That's amazing. So we're in that week at the moment. So you've shut the Halloween shop.
Yeah.
This recording will go out in a couple of weeks. So by the time this goes out, it will be open. But that's what you're doing this week then, is you're rapidly changing everything around.
So Saturday, Sunday last week, so that would be the 30th and 31st of October, my husband was in the pumpkin barn for us, and he was sort of dealing with all the customers whilst I was decorating Christmas trees, singing Michael Bublé and getting myself into all festive things. So this week it's all about just finishing the decorating of the shop. My husband's working now in the light department, getting the lights all set out on the Christmas trees. So yeah, it's busy, ready for the opening on Saturday.
And where exactly are you based, just in case anyone listening is thinking, this sounds like a great festive day out?
So we are between Brecon and Hay-on-Wye in Mid-Wales, Powys.
Wonderful. And how many years will it be then for the Christmas shop this year?
This is our ninth year doing this, and my sort of second season doing it full time.
Okay. And have you always been a big Christmas lover?
We have, yeah. Big part of our story. So we got married 3 days after Christmas. My husband shares my love of Christmas. It's a big thing in our house. So the fact that I'm now working Christmas all year round, I love. My daughter's singing Christmas carols in June. It annoys everybody else, but we love it.
So it's a real labour of love.
Yes, oh, definitely. You've got to love it to be able to do it full time, for sure.
So there's a lot of pressure then getting everything ready to go, ready for this short selling season. So can you tell us, sort of describe to us, how many different products have you got? I mean, how many things, because you're talking about a whole barn. It sounds like you'd need a huge amount or a huge variety of Christmas products.
Yeah, we do. So, I mean, I've had this little bit of a discussion with myself this year about whether I go for lots and lots of products and do limited quantities of each, or whether I do far fewer products but I do much higher volume of them.
Right.
I've opted to go for lots and lots of products just because it gives people something different to look at every point.
Yes.
So we hold anything between about 1,500 and 2,000 SKUs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite a big space. We probably spend £30,000 to £40,000 on Christmas stock a year.
Wow. And when do you start thinking about it then? Do you start thinking about it January? That's it. You're like, okay, next year.
Yep. So January, we'll be off up to Harrogate Christmas Fair, go to Spring Fair. I'm desperate to get over to Christmas World in Frankfurt. I think that would be a real step up, but I have to brush up on my German first. Find a travel buddy as well, I think. But yeah, I mean, as soon as the shop shuts, we do our stock take, we clear out the barn, so we empty it all out, do a stock analysis, look at what products have sold really well, which departments have performed better, so what I can buy more of next year. it's a very intensive couple of weeks because Harrogate is so early in the season.
Right.
So I do quite intensive stock analysis with all my spreadsheets, and then I've got a shopping list ready to go up to Harrogate and Spring Fair, and then we do a little bit during the summer then, and just sort of clean up at Autumn Fair then.
To leave yourself a bit of space to sort of see what the trends are, what was coming through.
Yes and no. So we don't usually do all of our shopping in January, February. I've got maybe 80% of it done. And then that gives us a little bit of wriggle room for people who come up to me during the year and go, oh, I'm a crafter, I do these, would you be interested? And if it's something I like and I think will fit, then I'll do that. And yes, then sometimes at the Autumn Fair, I might buy into something completely new. I certainly did this year. As for trends, we find we're in a very rural, conservative area, which isn't particularly trend driven. Mm-hmm. So what we find is like the trends that have come out this year will take 2 to 3 years to filter through to this area. So I might introduce a completely brand new colour, one a year, and mix it in and just display the colours differently. Yeah. And I think that tends to satisfy my customers' need for newness. We're not a very cosmopolitan area. It's very traditional. People like their red and green still. So to get them to buy into blues or black, I've been working on it for 2 or 3 years now. We're getting there.
It's so true. I always think about that when I've worked in the past in mature female fashion, where it would be like you knew that it was going to be 2 to 3 seasons. They weren't going to buy it when they saw it the first time round, but then eventually they'd see enough people in their lives wearing something that then eventually they'd get brave enough or comfortable enough. They'd see it enough times to say, okay, I'm going to try it. So it's almost like it gave you a really long lead time to know what people would like in sort of 2 years, because you could see that it was going to take that time to trickle down. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's just really interesting because, of course, when I was at Paperchase, it was much more about like the last minute purchasing for Christmas might be that, llamas or sloths or something like that kind of came out that year. I mean, those are both, those have been around for ages now, but like at the time when they first appeared, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we could have a llama Christmas decoration. But it's, again, your customer really well, so it's going to take them a bit longer to trickle down.
Yeah, definitely. And you say about llamas, I think we probably had the sort of novelty factor came in last year and did really well because people had seen enough of it. So we've really expanded on that this year.
Perfect. So can you tell us a little bit about a typical day or, one of your peak days when it's presumably weekends are the busiest? Is that fair to say?
This weekend will be very busy, and then it'll tail down a little bit for a couple of weeks, and then Advent weekend and the following 2 weekends, those are our peak selling times. So we open the shop in December, maybe from 8:30, 9 o'clock, depending on how we're feeling usually. And we'll quite often have people arrive here early. So it's from the off, straight away, very, very busy. And to be honest with you, we'll have staff working here. It's chaos, but it's fab chaos. Everybody is so happy. You get the wives who are dragging their grumpy husbands in and they're like, I don't know why she's brought me here. And within 10 steps, you can hear them humming away to the Christmas songs and having fun. And that's what I love about Christmas. Certainly, I used to get very frustrated when I was running the cook shops that we'd sell, £35 saucepan with a lifetime guarantee for £25, and people would argue the toss over the price. Here, they would come in and spend £150 on Christmas decorations without blinking about it. It's really quite different. From the off, you're just running around, chatting with customers, serving, helping them with the decorations, giving advice. Lots of people want advice. Oh, my tree is this colour. Would this colour work with it? There's an awful lot of that going on. And you realise you've got to about 4:15 when the people have stopped queuing and you think, oh, I'm hungry. I need some lunch. And then with the phone ringing, Facebook messages and stuff, it's chaos. With regards to social media and stuff like that, I try to schedule as much in as I possibly can because I get a little bit of free time during the week, a couple of hours where there's not many people around. But certainly Facebook, Instagram, it's all scheduled at this time of year. I have blog posts lined up, scheduled, ready to go, because it's just it is just chaos.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So how many people are there working in the barn when it's at full capacity?
Oh, not enough. So we've usually got 3 on the tills. There's my husband, there's me. Our daughter comes in to help. Then we've got at least 4 family members usually on the go. So
wow.
Yeah, there seems to be an awful lot of bodies around. Yeah.
I had to say, it sounds fabulous. That's what I always liked about retail, was most businesses that I worked for, even though I was in the head office, they would always do something at Christmas where you had to go back. We had to go to the stores and help them out at Christmas. And I always quite enjoyed those days because you say it's busy and there's lots of people around and you're chatting and helping customers. And it's actually such a nice buzz, and the time does just fly by. But I'm sure you must be exhausted by the time that Christmas rolls around. But I suppose you close a few days beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not unusual for us. I mean, we'll close, we'll do a stock take the day after, and then depending on how the dates fall, we'll have 3-4 days maybe where I can just finish off the last little bits of our personal shopping. Most of our Christmas shopping is already done.
So do you have any tips or advice for anybody who maybe is heading into their first Christmas?
Oh goodness. I think be super, super organized. Don't underestimate how, if you're busy, how much that will take out of you, for sure. Things like social media, there are certain posts that you can schedule now, which will take you through to the end of December. If you do like Christmas countdowns, your last posting dates, anything mundane like that, get it all scheduled out now. That would definitely be a big tip. And if you do blog posts and stuff like that, get it all scheduled so that you're not having to think about it.
Yeah.
And be super, super consistent. I think that's the one thing I think we've noticed has really propelled our business forward, is maintaining that visibility wherever it may be, and just really staying really focused and on it. And don't go chasing after the new tactic if things don't feel like they're working. Just double down on what you're already doing.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and good luck for a fantastic Christmas.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Hi, Emily. Would you like to start us off by telling us a little bit about you and your business?
Yes, sure. So, hi, I'm Emily and I am from Wild at Heart. And Wild at Heart is a jewellery and a gift boutique in the Cotswolds. We have 2 shops, one in Chipping Norton and one in Broadway.
And how long have you been running Wild at Heart? And you and your husband run it together?
So yeah, we've both had careers in retail, and we all had a desire to have our own shop, as I think all of us do when we're in retail. And so yeah, we eventually brought that to fruition in 2006. So we've been going for 16 plus years.
Wow, that's an incredible achievement, and especially going through the last 18 months, very turbulent, no doubt.
Yes, it has been challenging and very interesting, and there have been opportunities for growth, as well as some times when you couldn't sleep because you were a bit worried.
And I think I remember you saying during lockdown that you always had a really great reaction from the local community and supporting the local shops.
Yes, I mean, in lockdown, we've always offered local delivery. And so people have been able to do click and collect on the website, and then we have just literally taken that round. And sometimes if we were in the shop and your order came in, your order would be there within half an hour. So sometimes we were doing well, Amazon style. But yeah, we wanted to support the local community and thank them for supporting us. And so, offering free delivery at that time was something that we were able to do, and it kept us busy and it kept us sane. I think if we hadn't been able to have those online orders through that period of when the actual doors were shut, I'm not quite sure. I think we would have gone nuts.
Yeah, I'm sure. So let's talk about Christmas then. As obviously you're a gift boutique, so no doubt this is a very busy time of year for you. How how early in the year, should I say, do you start getting ready for Christmas?
Once we've done a Christmas, we go to the trade shows in January and February, and we are buying Christmas when it comes to sort of decorations, little Christmas characters. So yeah, sort of the really seriously Christmassy bits. that's bought in January and February, which is nice in a way because it's all fresh in your mind in terms of what has sold really well, the things that you sold out on, and the things that maybe you thought might go well and didn't. So it's really fresh in your mind, which is really handy. But it feels quite strange to be buying so far in advance. We're not a fashion retailer. We're not used to that. We tend to buy seasonally as we go through. So to do Christmas in January it is quite interesting. But as I said, it's all fresh in your mind, so it does help. And this year we weren't able to. No, that's not true. We were able to do it. It was a bit later, and it was all online, and that has been interesting as the stock has come through. Some of the things have come home, and my husband's gone, when you bought this, what size were you thinking it was? It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be, or it's really small because all you've seen is a photo. So it's,
oh my goodness.
Funny. I don't think I would recommend buying online. I think it's much nicer when you can go and see things and how they're going to look together. But it's been quite interesting. But we've all of us have had those sorts of challenges with everything, even with life. So yeah, it's been good, but tends to be January, which I think shocks a lot of people, because they're like, in September, they're like, so you were thinking about buying your Christmas scarves? I'm like, no, already done it. It's all done.
Oh my goodness, I hadn't thought about the whole issue around the size of things when you're buying online, because that's it reminds me of the time. I mean, this is such a small thing, and it doesn't matter if it's just for you, but what it's like when it's your shop and it turns up and it's way too big, I don't know. But my family still laugh about the time that I ordered these things that were called mega marshmallows from an online supermarket, and when they turned up, they were huge. They were like about 10 centimeters tall, and they were almost delighted, because who doesn't like giant marshmallows? But it says mega marshmallows, but you just think that's hype, you don't think?
Yeah, and I think when you're buying for yourself, you're quite careful because you're buying the one thing or a few things. But when you're buying hundreds of different products across the website, and you're making quick decisions and trying to look through thousands of products, you tend, I obviously wasn't paying enough attention. I do tend to, in my office, I always have a tape measure. Right. And I'm amazed at how often I get it out and use it in terms of working things out, especially when it comes to when you suddenly launch a very online business, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, so I need really big boxes or really little boxes, or what boxes can I buy that will fit into those large letter, so that it'll definitely go through somebody's letterbox, and then if they're not in, it's safely arrived, it's not been left on the doorstep. So yeah, measuring things, that's my top tip.
Always measure it. Yeah. So let's talk about then when it starts getting busy. So you start prepping in January.
Yeah.
Presumably you do some sort of top-ups as you get closer to the big event, sort of on where you've maybe sold through things, or you see new things. Do you keep a bit of budget for sort of late decisions, or what's the word, like quick turnaround stock?
So on the whole, with things like Christmas decorations, because we all buy in January and February, by the time you get to September, they're all sold out. Right. And so unless that wholesaler is prepared to sort of buy more stock in, that's why you have to buy in January and February. If you want to get the best lines that you want, then you need to buy early. So often we wouldn't top up. We do one really big order, probably the biggest order we do, and that would be it. Things are different now. Everything is different now, isn't it? And it seems to be, it swings from either being lots of things are available and you can buy them on a monthly basis and you can try things and then try something else. And then other types of products, it's like you need to order in September. I'm like scarves and hats and gloves, we were being told order in September because we can't guarantee we'll have any. So whereas in previous years, we might have ordered, say, 5 of everything, and we'd have gone through sort of a collection that we'd have created, and then we would go back in a month's time and go, of that collection, what ones are we going to take forward and do a bigger draw of to get us through to Christmas and beyond. This year, that hasn't been possible. We've had to make some decisions in September without knowing what sales are going to be like, and I'm sure you can imagine or understand that is quite scary as a buyer. because you have to rely on your own instinct in terms of what's going to go. When something comes in 4 colours, which are the 2 colours that are always going to sell better than the others?
Mm-hmm. What's the colour of the season that everyone wants suddenly?
Yes, it's changed over time, and yes, there are a lot more sort of items that you can just buy in and then buy again, but there certainly are definitely some ranges where you have to be quite planned and quite prepared to take a risk to get your quantities in. And certainly last Christmas was the first time that we ever did those sorts of, like when you're ordering a scarf in 36s and you're used to ordering in 5s and topping up in 10s. It's like, hope they all go. Nerve-wracking. Yes, it's been okay. It has worked. We, as a business, we don't tend to do sales. We tend to sell out of things, and we don't tend to have or keep overstocks. I don't quite know how we've managed that, really.
By having excellent instincts, no doubt. So let's talk a little bit then about the run up to Christmas itself. So we talked about sort of the purchasing side, but then when do you start seeing it getting busy in the shops?
So we have a shop in Chipping Norton, which is more of a local shop, local street. The people who live in and around Chipping Norton are very good at supporting the Chipping Norton High Street.
Yeah.
And then our shop in Broadway is very much a beautiful classic Cotswold high street, completely independent. I think the only large chain we've got is at the Lloyd's Pharmacy. It's a lovely destination for independent shopping, which I always love because it means you find different and unusual things that you don't see sort of on the bigger high streets. In the bigger. And so what we find is that because we are in a tourist section, that October half term is when would start to see the rise towards Christmas. And also we do see it in September, like in August.
Right.
With people, I don't know if you do the same, but when you're on holiday, you're always looking for something a little bit different, stocking fillers for the kids, little gifts that you wouldn't normally see in your high street or where you would normally shop. So we do see some of it, some of the Christmas gift buying start in August. But it starts in earnest at half term. And when we first opened our shop, before we had a shop in Broadway and before we had such a big tourist location, I always used to say, we have to do Halloween and Guy Fawkes Night before we do Christmas. But our first year in Broadway, we just saw that first weekend of half term, such an influx of people. We were like, we can't not put Christmas out now. It's got to go out. And Christmas comes in because Christmas for us in terms of decorations, alongside our normal ranges of winter scarves, hats and gloves, and the new jewellery ranges that would come in and handbag ranges that would come in. So you get quite an influx of stock. So we need to bring it in so that we can process it. Barcode, all the barcodes get scanned, everything gets set up. September, so you are holding it for quite a long time before you put it out if you wait until after the fireworks. So it does, so that's, we have crept a little bit forward. I know some people don't appreciate that. We find that actually our customers are looking for it and want it out at that time, and we do keep it towards like the internal areas of the shop, so we wouldn't put Christmas in the window, and we do our Christmas window on the 1st of December.
Oh, lovely. So coming up soon. Well, I suppose it's interesting because a lot of your customers will be, as you say, on holiday or on a weekend away. And so it's nice to have that opportunity to do a bit of browsing in a relaxed fashion that doesn't all feel so busy. But then how busy does it get then in the run up to Christmas? Do you find then that December is very much when you see maximum footfall?
Because we have the 2 different locations, they respond differently. It's always the way, isn't it? Nothing is ever the same. Broadway, we have 2 shopping nights, Christmas shopping nights. The last Friday of November and the first Friday of December are our Christmas shopping evenings. We have carol singers, we have mulled wine, all the lovely restaurants do beautiful outdoor food. We have the most amazing hot chocolate from Leaf and Bean, with a little bit of alcohol in, so it gets you all very, very festive. So in Broadway, we see, it starts at October half term. And then as we go into the end of November, early part, those evenings, those Friday evenings are slightly manic, to say the least. It does get quite busy. And a lot of people will seem to, on an annual basis, they'll book a weekend away in the Cotswolds, knowing that those 2 weekends, we are obviously putting on a beautiful fair for them. All the Christmas lights are up. The high street looks just fabulous in Broadway over Christmas, as it does in Chipping Norton. We've got lovely lights everywhere. There's something about the twinkly lights and going away, having a lovely weekend away with gorgeous food in her hotel, and then doing your Christmas shopping and getting it all sorted. And people do that on a recurring basis. They come back every year and make an event of that Christmas shopping and really enjoy the experience of doing their Christmas shopping. Whereas in Chipping Norton, it's a lot more local, and so it's later. We have a Christmas shopping evening, usually in the first week of December, and it's usually a Thursday night, which is lovely. Sometimes we have a Victorian theme, and again, you've got your mulled wine and all your lovely local charities with their stalls, and it makes it a really nice evening in the town. But there we find the last 3 days before Christmas is when it is just utterly bonkers, because people are like, oh, I've forgotten this and I just need to get that. And then obviously you have all the boys, and my wife needs something, what can I get her? I finished work now, so can I do my Christmas shopping? And you're like, yeah, of course you can, but like, wow, 2 days before Christmas, you're taking a risk.
So do you have any tips for anybody who maybe it's their first Christmas, or maybe they're fairly new in their retail journey? What are some of the things that you've learned, other than using your tape measure? What would you say to people getting ready for Christmas?
Christmas is so much fun. Having a new season with new stock is always so lovely. But being planned about what you want to do, how you want to staff the shops, making sure that for us, normally we would only have one person in the shop, but we would always have 2, probably 3 for those really busy days, so that you can have somebody looking after the till and making sure that everything's gone through. And then we love to wrap and pack our items, and they come beautifully gift wrapped in a gift bag that's sealed with a ribbon bow. And that takes time. And so if you've got somebody else who's wrapping and packing, and it's all part, for me, that is all part of the experience, is that it is, whether it's a gift for you and a treat for yourself, you walk out of our shop with a beautiful presented treat or gift, and something that you can then just literally give straight over. You can put that Wild at Heart gift bag under the tree and it's ready to go. And the boys love that. No wrapping required.
No wrapping required.
So having the right staffing levels to cope with that. I mean, it's really difficult when you're starting out. You don't know necessarily when your big days are going to be, but for us, it's always going to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I can't think of it. I'm not sure I can think of anything else.
Well, thank you so much. You've shared so much great information about your lovely shop, and I'm like, feel like I'm going to go and start googling bed and breakfasts in Broadway. Sounds like a wonderful idea. Do you want to just tell everyone where they can find you?
Sure. So we're on Instagram and Facebook as Wild at Heart Gifts, and our website is wildatheartgifts.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just want to say a really big thank you to Rani, to Annabelle and to Emily for taking time out of their very busy schedules to have a chat with me at this time of year and tell me about their Christmas prep. I really enjoyed talking to all of them, and I hope that you enjoyed hearing their stories as well. If you enjoyed this episode, why not head over to Instagram at Resilient Retail Club. Come say hi, show me where you're listening to the podcast. I always love to see those photos, and let me know what you're doing to get ready for Christmas. In the meantime, though, if you have a moment to just rate, review the podcast in iTunes, then that would mean the absolute world to me. It helps me get the podcast out in front of more people. And of course, if you hit the subscribe button, you will be the first to know when each new episode is released. I will see you all next week. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow, or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.